Okay, perfect. Natasha, how are you?
I am good. How about yourself?
Doing good. So, Facebook world, this is Chris Baker, and I have Natasha here with Lake Nona Behavioral Health Services,
Services.
and yeah. So, Natasha, I'm glad you had a time to take. I know you're busy right now, and I appreciate your time, and I'm sure our audience will appreciate the time and kind of some of the skills what we're going to learn today. So I kind of like decided to kind of put this together because I know whew, coronavirus is affecting a lot of people um, throughout their country, definitely in our community. And I wanted to really just kind of find out, what are some things that, we can do to kind of be better prepared. Okay. And I think a lot of times people maybe downplay the mental health aspect of it. And I would tell you from a personal experience, I'm in I got back from a cruise on I think April 16th. Okay. And so I've been in this, I did like that post self quarantine for like 2 weeks
Right.
and then rolled into the Orange County, that's rolled into the Florida. And so
Hmm.
it's been a long time.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so I felt like over this weekend, I just kind of got a little stressed out. I ain't gonna lie. And
Hmm.
so this is great timing and all that kind of stuff. And so I want to thank you for your time today.
Absolutely.
So, Natasha, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of why you decided to get into behavioral health?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. I'm Natasha Darkangelo. I am a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Florida. I am also a nationally certified counselor and a certified clinical trauma professional. Currently, I'm working as you said, at Lake Nona Behavioral Health Services. So that's a private practice in Orlando. And I work with children, I work with adolescents, and I work with adults. And I'm part of the team there. We have 3 psychiatrists on staff. So originally, I got into mental health because I want to help people. That's always been a drive that I've had. And this is actually a second career for me. So I used to be a teacher when I lived in New York, and I worked for the Boys and Girls Club up there for about 10 years. So
Oh,
always
cool.
just have been helping people. It's kind of my thing. And what ended up happening is when I was a classroom teacher, I never felt like I was really able to meet the emotional needs of my students. Um, when you've got 30 kids in a classroom, it's hard to do all of that stuff. And so when I moved to Florida from New York, I had the opportunity to do my master's degree. And I decided to do it in clinical mental health counseling because then I could help pretty much everybody, and kind of expand out from that world that I'd been working in with just children. So it's been a really great transition. In some ways, I feel like I never left teaching, only now I'm teaching clients about themselves and I'm teaching them about coping skills. And, because I do still have children and adolescents on my caseload, it's kind of it filtered right into itself. So I really love the opportunity to be able to see my clients make progress and just be happier and more fulfilled overall.
That's great. And I'm glad, and I didn't know this about you. So, like, I'm glad that this kind of came out, is because right now there's a lot of parents struggling.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely. Some of them are my
so,
clients.
yeah, and so I'll kind of just run into that. You know, what are some things that you think that can help parents, kind of with a new transition of them kind of being faced with the coronavirus and being home with their kids, and in a role that they probably didn't sign up for, didn't think they were going to be in. What are some things that you would suggest for them?
Absolutely. So, the first thing, all of you parents out there, you need to give yourself a little bit of grace. Be patient with yourself. Understand that you're human. Um, you know, Pretty much the majority of parents out there, you guys don't have formal teaching experience. You don't have training in that, and so it's not fair for you to expect yourself to turn into a teacher overnight and just automatically be, you know, this amazing classroom professional. So I, you know, personally, I've seen a lot of clients who are really putting a lot of pressure on themselves to maintain this whole academic load. And what ends up happening is the parents are being really irritable because they're balancing all of this other stuff. They're taking it out on their children, not necessarily intentionally. And then the kids are just having these meltdowns and everybody's just unhappy. So here's what I would say to you. 30 years from now, when your children are reflecting back upon this time, they are not going to remember the spelling words that they learned. They're not going to remember the math problems that you did with them. They're going to remember the, sorry, that's the puppy. Celeste.
That's what.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about working from home, right?
Hey, working from home, you never know what's going to happen.
Real life challenges. They're not going to remember that stuff. What they're going to remember is the time that you guys spent together as a family, playing board games, cooking together, walking the dog, you know, learning how to change your oil, that kind of stuff. So you also can't set unrealistic expectations. It's just not a realistic expectation that your child is going to sit at a computer for 8 hours a day and just like produce all of this academic work, right? If you think about what your children are going through right now, their lives have also completely changed. They're they're not seeing their friends anymore. They're not in their classroom anymore. They're not with their teachers anymore. And they know that you're stressed. They're hearing all this stuff about COVID-19. And so they're not automatically going to switch over into this, let me do all this stuff at home mode. It is important to try and implement some kind of routine, try to have about the same wake up time, try to have about the same time where you get started on work every day, try to have lunch at about the same time every day. You know, have a general guideline, but be flexible with yourself. Like, understand that things may need to change. So maybe have like a block of time in the morning that's going to be dedicated schoolwork time, a block of time that's dedicated playtime, general times that are okay for meals. But it's okay if that changes, and it doesn't make you a bad parent. I want you to hear me. It doesn't make you a bad parent if homeschooling is not going well for you. Doesn't make you a bad parent. It makes you human. Everybody's struggling right now. Understand also that your child can only focus for so long. They're going to need frequent breaks. Even in the classroom setting, that's true. Think about it. Your child, if they're in kindergarten, they get up and they stretch, they transition from subject to subject. If your child is in high school, their periods are 40, 45 minutes long. They get up and they physically move to another location. And so give them frequent breaks. There's nothing wrong with having your child take a 10-minute break in between subjects, or if they're feeling frustrated, give them an opportunity to stretch, take a walk, go stand out in the sun for a little bit. The bottom line is, the less anxious and depressed your children are when they return to school, the better they're going to perform academically at that time.
Cool. Awesome. That's some good stuff, you know, because I know that, you know, we had some challenges even in our own with my own kids with trying to just manage like the workload and understanding, because it's different, right? Versus someone telling you everything. They got to be have a little bit more initiative, and missing assignments and stuff like that causes some stress, especially if you got to catch up, you know. So there's a lot of stress that's kind of involved with that. And so I appreciate you kind of sharing some of this thing, because I think a lot of, you know, what I've heard from other parents is that, you know, it's too overwhelming. Like I'm trying to do something and they don't want to harm their kid academically.
Right.
And I appreciate you saying, hey, like, you're not going to be perfect. You know, you
Yeah.
kind of gotta let that go.
Also, here's another hint. You're not the only one that's doing this right now. Every other parent, pretty much across the entire country, honestly, even the world at this point, is struggling with the
Yeah.
same thing. So if your child like maybe doesn't do that great on a spelling test, or you know, is not getting all their chemistry formulas okay, it's you know, it's okay. It's okay. The best thing that you can do is really focus on family time and just be present with them and create some good memories so that again 30 years from now your kids are like, man, remember when we were home during all that pandemic stuff and we baked together and we did sidewalk chalk and we took the dog for a walk as a family. How fun was that? Like that's the kind of conversations you want to have them be having with you.
Yeah, that's awesome because that is great stuff. Because that you're right, that's what they're going to remember.
Yes.
So, what are maybe some challenges that you are seeing people facing during this coronavirus pandemic? Other than the,
So
what are some other things that you're?
oh my goodness, a bunch of different ones. Unemployment has been a big one. They're unable to pay their bills, so general like financial worries. People are struggling with food insecurity. They've got a complete upheaval in their daily routine. Having to shelter in place with your family can be a real challenge. A lot of people are experiencing either a worsening of mental health symptoms, or this may be for some people the first time that they're facing some mental health symptoms. People are not able to engage in the coping skills that they would normally use, like being able to go to the gym, for example, go hang out with your friends, right? A lot of people are feeling powerless right now. We're worried about our families, we're worried about our loved ones. People are trying to work full time while they're parenting full time, while they're homeschooling full time. Um, People are worried about keeping themselves and their loved ones safe and healthy. Just general uncertainty. When is it all going to be over? What does it look like when it's all over? How does this impact my job? When are my kids going to go back to school? That kind of stuff. Some people are sheltering in place with an abuser or somebody whose addiction problems have gotten worse during this time. So it's really a myriad of different things that people are going through, I would say.
That's a lot of stuff. That's
Yes, it's a
a
lot
lot
of
of
stuff.
stressful situations and stuff like that. That I think were that you just really touched on. There's a couple in there that I didn't even think about that people are kind of going through.
Yeah.
What do you feel like are maybe some, your top, maybe strategies or techniques people can kind of use to handle some of that stress, that this new form of stress?
So one of the things that I tell all of my clients is you got to break your universe down into two categories. There's the universe of things that you can control, and there's the universe of things that you can't control. It's going to help your stress levels if significantly if you really focus your time and energy on the things that you can control. And so just kind of bring it back to that. Understand also that it's completely normal to be feeling a mix of emotions right now. Don't dismiss that if that's what you're going through. Reach out to your support system. You can discuss that with them. You can process those emotions. There may be a day where you need to cry, or you may need to scream into a pillow when it all feels like too much. That's okay. That's normal. That's to be expected. It's really important for us right now to take things one day at a time. A lot of us are kind of spinning ahead to the next 6 months and the next year. Today's Tuesday, do Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow you'll do Wednesday. You got to take things one day at a time. If you feel like you need to connect with a mental health professional, a lot of us, like myself, we're doing services via telehealth for the safety of our clients, but I'm still able to see my clients and maintain that relationship with them. For yourselves, maintain some kind of daily routine. So try to get up at about the same time every day. You've got a block of time dedicated to work, walk away at some point, get lunch, that kind of thing. Try to do self-care. And I know that's hard, but even things like make sure that you're showering every day, put on clean clothes every day, try to maintain a normal sleep schedule, make sure that you're eating, make sure that you're hydrating. I know it sounds super basic, but that stuff is really important. If you can, think about adding in some mindful activities, things like meditation, deep breathing, yoga. I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. Even if it's 5 minutes. Some of us really struggle with falling asleep at night. So if you're struggling with falling asleep at night, do a guided meditation. You're not taking time away from anything else. You're laying in bed trying to fall asleep anyway, right? There's a free app called Insight Timer that has a bunch of free guided meditations on it. Could be helpful for you. Try to go for a walk, spend some time in the sun. Vitamin D makes a big difference. You guys have heard the puppy kind of marching around. Spend some time with your pets. They're really good for our mental health. And for the most part, they love having us around. Um, I know it can be tempting, but it's important at this time for you to really minimize your drug and alcohol use. Problems can really fall back into major issues very quickly. Limit the amount of news that you're consuming. Don't have the news on running 24 hours a day. It's not going to help you. Make sure also that when you do interact with a news source, that it's from a reputable source. So Facebook should not be where you're getting your news from. So just think about things like that would be my recommendations.
Yeah. And I'm glad you kind of mentioned about like just about limiting that exposure to some of that stuff because I feel like that they dramatize a lot of stuff,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I think people can get overwhelmed by that, and so I think that's awesome too. So what do you feel like, like there's some of us too that are maybe working with people that are that are on the front lines of this
Mhm.
pandemic. What do you feel like are maybe the best way to support those loved ones, either friends or family members that are working on the front lines in the hospitals on a daily basis?
Thank you for asking. I think that the best thing that we can do for them is to ask them what they need. Just have a direct conversation. Don't expect that you can assume. And it may be hard for them to actually come out and have that talk with you. So just ask them what they need. And think about things like this. They may need some time when they first get home to just decompress and switch from work brain to home brain. So give them some space to, maybe shower and recenter themselves before you get into the, what's for dinner conversation, or this is the homework that didn't get done. Send them encouraging messages or pictures while they're at work. It gives them something positive that they can focus on. Even sneaking into their car overnight and leaving like a little message on their steering wheel that you tape there, like, you're awesome, and we appreciate what you're doing, and keep up the hard work. That can make a really big difference. If your loved one needs to talk, let them talk without trying to fix it or without giving them advice. Sometimes what we need the most is someone yeah, sometimes what we need the most is just for someone to listen to what we have to say. And also encourage them to engage with their support system. If you've got somebody that's working in a hospital, or you got somebody that's working at a grocery store as a truck driver, their colleagues are really going to understand what they're going through right now, because they're experiencing the same things. So encourage them to reach out to those people. There's beauty in that connection. And again, if things are, if you're worried about them, let them know that you're worried about them. I love you. I'm concerned about you. And it seems like you're really struggling. You seem really sad to me, or you seem really stressed to me. What can I do to help? What do you need from me? Sometimes those are the conversations that, if you open up that door, they're more willing to communicate it.
That's great. And do you feel like are there ways that you feel like are like maybe good ways to connect with people that maybe have lost a job or going through maybe some financial stress? Is there something that you feel like is good for those type of people as well?
Um, yes, and I can understand how frustrating it is, because I have clients that are really struggling right now with that Florida unemployment site. And so one of the things that I would encourage you to do is, if you know you need to file for unemployment, just keep trying to get into that site. Most of my clients have been telling me it's been taking them multiple attempts. And again, when we think about what's the universe of things that we can control and what's the universe of things that we can't control, one of my clients has been trying to get into that site and she's been unable to. So I told her, reach out to your elected officials. Start calling up your congresspersons, start calling up your senators, and let them know that you're trying to get into the site and you're not able to. Again, reach out to those connections. Do you guys know anybody that's hiring right now? We tend to have more support in our corner than we realize, and when we're stressed and when we're depressed, it's hard to see that. So it may just take taking a step back and taking stock of your resources.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that too, because I see a lot of people in my feeling or experience. A lot of people try to take the weight of everything on their own versus
Absolutely.
reaching out to people that maybe could help to relieve some of that burden, release some of that stress, and be like a pressure valve, like in a sense of some of that stuff, so they can focus on the things that need to matter most. So
Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't make you weak to reach out for help. It makes you human.
yes, yes, that's great. And so, are there some things that you could recommend to handle social distancing challenges? Okay, I feel like this is where I'm at now. I'm asking my own question.
Yeah.
How can I handle this social distancing stress right now? Challenges.
So, one of the things that I would say is, let's call it physical distancing. Let's not call it social distancing. Sometimes even changing up the phrasing like that can make a difference. But yeah, I think that it does take us being a little bit more creative about how we can maintain those connections with our friends and family. We're lucky enough to live in a time where we can really use technology to our advantage. So, you may not be able to visit your family, you may not be able to hang out with your friends, but you can still FaceTime, you can use Skype, you can use other platforms to connect. Families can virtually have dinner at the same time, like, set up your iPad on the dinner table, set up a happy hour, a virtual happy hour with your friends. You guys can play games together as a household. All it takes is a deck of cards or a game of Uno or apples to apples. You may not be able to go to the gym, but you're still able to run, you can still walk, use things around the house. Your staircase is that's a built-in workout right there. So those are things you can do. A lot of free videos online about home workouts. Even a lot of fitness classes right now are streaming things, so you could just pull up right in your living room. If you're at home with your family, hug them often. We do still need physical touch. And so keep in touch with them that way. you know um you can still do socially distant things, like, personally, this past weekend I went to visit my parents. They live an hour away. I really miss seeing them. And so, but I pulled up and they stayed in the garage and I stayed in the driveway. But it was nice to actually, just see them. And my friends and I have a weekly Zoom session that we do every Thursday night. Everybody logs in and we kind of catch up with each other, and that's something really important to me that I look forward to. Is your faith or religion an important part of your life? Connect to the members of that community. A lot of churches are offering virtual services, or reach out to your pastor, your faith leader, or the other members of that community at this time. Another thing that I would recommend is, if you and your kids keep talking about, I can't wait for us to do this, and I can't wait for us to do this, and I can't wait until this time. Keep a jar in the house, with like post-it notes next to it. Start writing that stuff down. Make yourselves a post-quarantine list of stuff that you're going to do. We're going to go to the beach, or we're going to go visit these people, or things that you guys are going to do when we're safe to do so. Okay, those are the kind of things that I would recommend.
Perfect, perfect. I
Yeah.
want to see like hopefully we had some people I know that have been chiming in on here. I didn't know if people have any questions that you want to type in or anything that might be of interest. So I'm going to open it up for that real quick as I
Sure.
kind of look. I don't, I'm still trying to figure out this technology. So I'm learning new skills, you know? So,
Well, one thing I would say is, if you do feel like things have really gotten to the point where you do feel overwhelming and you would like to reach out to a professional, sometimes it can seem really scary, like where do I even start, right? And so a few different things that I would recommend. Psychology Today is a great resource. It is a website, it's a database of mental health professionals. You can search by zip code, you can search by insurance coverage, you can search by gender, you can search by faith base. And all of the people on Psychology Today, their credentials have already been verified. So it's a great place to get started if you wanted to reach out to a mental health professional.
or
If
they
you
can start
have, I'm sorry.
or they can start with you.
Yeah, they could start with me also.
I'll give you a plug. I won't give you, you can do a shameless plug.
You can also reach out to your insurance company. If you have commercial insurance and they have mental health coverage, that's another place for you to get started. If you work for a larger company, a lot of times they will have some kind of EAP option. So that's another place to get started too. But yeah, absolutely. Reach out to Lake Nona Behavioral. We're still accepting new patients. I'd be happy to help out.
And I'll put your guys' information so they can reach out to you and get, get the help that they want on
Great.
well. I think it's, like it's interesting. I was in the military before and, going through, and I would say going through war, you know, I used to, and I would say I was naive, right? And so like they used to always tell us, hey, it's okay, you can get help and all that kind of stuff. And then, but I didn't know, like I always kind of felt like if people looked at you a little weird, right?
Yes. Yes.
Getting some help and all that kind of stuff. And then after went through, I was deployed to Iraq, and I had some, and I would say nothing what I would call major, okay, because I didn't really see hardly anything. However, for roughly 2 weeks after that, I just had nightmares, like just
Mm.
nightmares, like out of the blue, And so I realized that this is serious, right? And so like I feel like, hey, if this has happened to me and I didn't really see anything, like there could be much more trauma that's out there. And the ability to talk to someone and get help on a professional level, not like don't listen to your buddy, like unless they're like great, but don't, you know, get some real help if you need some help,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
because
And I do think that there is a stigma with reaching out. I really do. And the truth is that at some point or another, we are going to have something that we struggle with. That's how life is. We're human. And it's so much healthier for you to reach out before it gets to the point where you can't sleep and you're not eating and you're barely able to get out of bed or having panic attacks, that kind of thing. Now, can we still help you if you're at that point? Absolutely. But why wait until it gets that bad? If you're thinking maybe I need to be sitting down and talking to somebody, then you should be sitting down and talking to somebody. And
yeah,
that's okay. And I encourage your friends and your family to do that too. Sometimes it's having that conversation with our friends or with our partners, like, hey, I'm really worried about you. Have you thought about going to see a therapist or going to see a psychiatrist? Sometimes we need to hear that from our loved ones.
yeah, yeah. And it's okay because people care about you if they're doing that. They're not trying to shame you out of anything. They're literally legitimately caring about
Absolutely. Yeah.
you and understand that, hey, this conversation might be above what I can talk to you about. And
Hmm.
so don't talk to me
Exactly.
because I don't have the skills to help you. Go talk to
Exactly.
someone else, you know?
And think about it this way, like if you know somebody that has diabetes, you're not going to try to manage your friend's diabetes, right? Like that's unless you went to medical school, in which case more power to you. But People love to tell other people, oh, just shake it off, or don't feel sad, or just stop feeling that way. But that's not how it works. I guarantee you, if you're worried about somebody's depression, they've already thought to themselves, I wish I could stop feeling this way. And if they were able to do it, they would have done it already. And so just like how you would go to the doctor to help with those kinds of conditions, there's people out there like me. This is what we were trained for. This is what we're meant to do. So reach out to somebody. It's okay. It's okay.
Cool.
The other thing I would like to say is we are offering, both myself and Dr. Johnson are offering pro bono services to our healthcare workers. So if we've got healthcare workers out there that are listening, or friends or family of healthcare workers that are watching, please do reach out. We want to make sure that we're getting you connected to the services that you need.
Yeah.
So that's just a matter of giving the office a phone call. We'll get you connected.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just saw, like, I think on Facebook the other day, some a doctor in New York
Yeah,
City.
New York. Yeah, she died by suicide.
Because they're seeing a lot. They have a lot of trauma, a lot of PTSD. I mean, they're seeing a lot of trauma. And
Absolutely.
So, like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's just sad, and so that's awesome that you guys are doing that.
Yeah. So reach out. We're here to help. We're here to listen.
Awesome. Well, Natasha, it was great talking to you.
It was great talking to you as well.
And continue the good fight. So,
thank you.
And we'll put the information in. And like I said, if you have any challenges, and Natasha, I just want to thank you for the plug too. If you don't like your current living situation or your house, you can come to me and I can help you find a right?
Absolutely.
Because I would tell you, there's some things that I learned that, hey, I think I might need a pull. Okay. Like I never thought I wanted a pull before.
Yeah.
But I think I might want to pull now. Because
Absolutely.
help.
Yeah.
So if you don't like your house and you don't like your current living environment, you feel like you're too cramped on your family members at time, I can help you with that pressure valve. Okay?
Yeah, we're figuring that out now. you guys may need some. You may need some more square footage, huh? Yeah.
All right, sounds good. So yeah, we appreciate your time today, and you stay safe.
Yeah.
Appreciate what you do in our community. So
thanks so much. Thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. Celeste, the therapy dog in training, says bye too, right?
Bye, Celeste.
She says, I'm here to help also.
Now you want to be shy.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Take care. Bye.